Have you ever felt like you were dead, even though your heart was still beating? Meet Maya. Maya's world ended when she was 7 years old, on a rainy Tuesday she can never forget. She didn't just lose her parents that day. She lost her color. She lost her sound. She became a ghost in a world that moved too fast and talked too loud. For years, Maya carried a mountain of grief that no one else could see. If you've ever felt like the world is fundamentally unfair, if you've ever cried until your eyes were bone dry and realized that "I'm sorry" is the emptiest phrase in the human language, then Maya's story is the mirror you've been looking for. Once upon a time, there was a young girl that lost her parents called Maya. Maya was raised by her grandmother, a woman of few words but a soft heart. But even her grandmother's love couldn't fill the jagged hole in Maya's chest. When her grandmother passed away, Maya was left with an aunt who treated her like a task to be completed rather than a child to be held. Nightmares became Maya's only companions. She carried the pain that she could not say anymore, even in prayers to God. Every night, the screech of tires and the smell of wet asphalt returned. She would wake up screaming, her pillow soaked in salt and shame, thinking the world is unfair and questioning herself every day, why me? She could at a time try to tell people. She tried to explain that her soul felt like it was covered in bruises to some of her friends and schoolmates. But the world is a busy place. Her friends would say, "I'm so sorry, Maya," before checking their phones. Her teachers would say, "Life is hard for everyone," before moving to the next lesson. This would terrify her the most because she is trying to empty herself from the pain, but none was there to listen and feel her exactly pain. Maya realized a terrifying truth. No one really cares about your internal storm as long as you don't get them wet. She stopped talking. She stopped trying. Life became a gray, meaningless loop of waking up and wishing she hadn't. She convinced herself that because the world betrayed her, she owed the world nothing. Not her smile, not her effort, and certainly not her future. One Sunday, when the walls of her room felt like they were closing in and she needed to freshen up her mind, Maya walked to the local park. She sat on a bench in the furthest corner, wearing her trauma like a heavy black coat in the middle of summer. She watched the world. She watched mothers holding hands, fathers playing catch, and couples laughing. To Maya, it all looked like a lie. She hated their happiness. But then, her eyes landed on an old woman. She was at least 80, with skin like a wrinkled map and hair as white as a mountain peak. But she wasn't sitting still. She was running. She was playing tag with 3 small children, her laughter rising above the noise of the traffic. She looked lighter than air. Maya watched for an hour. She waited for the children's parents to come and collect them. She expected the old woman to go home to a husband or a large family. But when the kids left, the old woman simply sat on a bench, alone, still smiling at the sunset. Maya couldn't stop herself. She ran to the woman, her voice trembling with years of suppressed anger. Maya asked her, "How? How can you play like that? Those weren't even your kids. You're old and you're alone. Yet you look like you have everything. My parents are gone. My grandmother is gone. The world took my peace before I even knew what it was. How are you not screaming at the sky?" The old woman, whose name was Clara, didn't look offended. She patted the seat next to her. Clara said her to sit down, little bird. You think your cage is unique. You think you're the only one the world forgot to love. Let me tell you about the cage I built for myself. Clara told her, I was exactly like you. An accident took my parents when I was a child. No aunts. No grandmothers. Just a cold orphanage with thin blankets and thinner soup. I decided that day that the world was a thief. I decided that if life was going to be cruel to me, I would be cold to life. Clara described a life of total isolation. She refused to marry because she was afraid of losing someone again. She refused to make friends because she didn't want to hear another empty "I'm sorry." She worked a dead-end job, went to a dark apartment, and fed her grief every night for 50 years. Clara said, I woke up one day, and I was 70. I looked in the mirror and realized I had won the battle against the world. I had successfully stayed miserable. But at what cost? I had no children of my own, no memories of love, no legacy but my own bitterness. I had punished myself for a crime the world committed. I realized, too late, that letting go isn't for the people who hurt you, it's for you. Clara took Maya's hand. Her grip was surprisingly strong. Clara told her, "You are standing at the door of my cage, Maya. You think that by staying sad, you are honoring your parents. You aren't. You are just wasting the life they gave everything for you to have." I learned to let go and let God in. Not because the pain went away, but because I realized I couldn't control the past. I stopped asking, "Why did this happen?" and started asking, "What can I do now?" Those children I was playing with, they aren't mine. But the joy I felt playing with them is mine. Inner peace is found when you stop fighting the reality of what was and start embracing the possibility of what is. Clara said, "Go back to the world, Maya. You deserve to be in it. Don't wait until you're 80 to realize that your grief didn't change the past. It only stole your future." Maya sat in silence as the park lights flickered on. The weight on her chest didn't disappear, but for the first time in a decade, it felt like something she could carry, rather than something that was crushing her. She walked home. She didn't cry that night. Instead, she looked at the old photos of her parents. For the first time, she didn't see their death. She saw their lives. She realized that her grandmother's love was a gift she had been too blind to use. Maya went back to school. She started a small garden. She began to talk again, not to explain her pain, but to share her light. She was no longer the girl who lived like a shadow. She was the girl who had survived the storm and learned to dance in the rain. Trauma is a heavy burden, but it doesn't have to be a life sentence. You can't control what was taken from you, but you can control what you do with what remains. If you are carrying a pain that no one understands, know that you are not alone. Like this video to stand with Maya and share it with someone who is currently sitting in their own cage. Subscribe for more stories of healing. Stay brave, stay open, and stay peaceful.